It's just amazing what's happening in my country, the greatest country on this side of heaven. For the last 27 years, I've been saying that if white Americans don't start to speak up, if they don't start to deal with what's happening to them from the so-called minorities, especially the blacks, that they'll eventually get angry and they're going to come out fighting in the wrong way. And this is what the enemy of good want. The liberals, the Democrats, the right or Republicans, they want the races fighting amongst each other. They want you fighting so that they'll have a reason to stay in office, to pass laws, to control the people even more so. And one of the worst mistakes that white Americans have made is that generations and generations have not spoken up over the last 50 years or so. They've allowed themselves to be intimidated. They have been called racist. And we all now know that there's no such thing as racism. It has never existed, but it's being used against white folks by the children of the lie, the race hustlers and others, in order to gain power and wealth. And now the children of those parents from 50 years ago to this day are coming out, and they're fighting back. But they're fighting in the wrong way. They're fighting with anger. And that's what the enemy wants. The children of those white folks who did not speak up, the men and the parents of those children, are now fighting for identity politics. And the last thing we need in America is identity politics. We already have that. It's not working. It will never work. And so they're coming out in that state of anger, and they're fighting in the wrong way. They're too. The children of those parents are now, and not all, but they're now fighting for identity politics, white power. And that doesn't work, folks. You know, I was thinking of Martin Luther King Jr. over the weekend, and he had a message of nonviolence. He said, overcome evil with good. And he was absolutely right about that. Your greatest power is in not being angry and fighting back. This is why I wanted and encouraged white Americans to speak up a long time ago. Some of you might be aware of this Uniting the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, this past Saturday. And I do want to tell you that they had the right to be there. They had a permit. If you didn't agree with them, that's on you. But they had the right to be there. Check out my brand new article on worldnetdaily.com, WND.com. I write about this. Charlottesville, I tried to warn you. And what I tried to warn white Americans that this battle is a spiritual battle. It's a battle between good and evil, right versus wrong. There's no other president in my lifetime who have told the truth and dealt with it in the way that this president responded. I'm so proud of our president.
We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides. On many sides. It's been going on for a long time in our country. Not Donald Trump, not Barack Obama. This has been going on for a long, long time. I just got off the phone with the governor of Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, and we agreed that the hate and the division must stop, and must stop right now. We have to come together as Americans with love for our nation and true affection, really, and I say this so strongly, true affection for each other.
Isn't that amazing? I have not heard one other president condemn both sides for the hatred and the violence. Not one. Barack Obama would have, and he did, condemned the right side, but not Black Lives Matter, not Antifa, because those folks were supporting his anger, his hatred of America, or lack of love for this country. President Trump denounced both sides of the hatred. You got to realize Black Lives Matter and others showed up to these people rally. And not only did they showed up armed, ready to fight these people. Pepper spray, frozen Coke cans, all kind of things. And so they went there to battle. Antifa, we can't have this. We simply cannot have this in this country. The president is absolutely right. We can't have hatred and violence in America today. You have the freedom of speech, but you can't be fighting.
We have so many incredible things happening in our country. So when I watch Charlottesville, to me it's very, very sad. Above all else, we must remember this truth. No matter our color, creed, religion, or political party, we are all Americans first. We love our country. We love our God. We love our flag. We're proud of our country. We're proud of who we are. So we want to get the situation straightened out in Charlottesville, and we want to study it. And we want to see what we're doing wrong as a country where things like this can happen. My administration is restoring the sacred bonds of loyalty between this nation and its citizens. But our citizens must also restore the bonds of trust and loyalty between one another. We must love each other, respect each other, and cherish our history and our future together. So important. We have to respect each other. Ideally, we have to love each other.
That's right. You know, the president is absolutely right. In our country today, hatred is being promoted, especially on the left, from the liberals, the Democrats, and the media, liberal media. They are pushing hatred. That's why they don't condemn Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is a hate group. They are worse than the KKK. Antifa is a hate group. They are worse than the KKK. And the KKK, a hate group. These people are filled with hatred. And Barack Obama invited Black leaders, some leaders of the Black Lives Matter hateful group, to the White House more than once. He didn't condemn them. I never heard Barack Obama condemn Antifa. And yet now the liberals are upset with the president because he didn't condemn the so-called white supremacists. He didn't just say white supremacists. He said all hatred, all anger. And that's the right thing. I'm glad he did it that way. It's about time he told the truth about this. You know, it's okay that Black Lives Matter and Antifa showed up, but the cops should have kept them divided. You can disagree on this side of the road, and you can do your thing on this side of the road. But for some reason, and we have that coming up, the police did not do that. I really want to know why.
We have to heal the wounds of our country. These are wounds that have been going on for really a long time. And I thought, and everybody wants it to heal, and it will heal. And we're going to make every effort possible to make sure that that healing procedure goes as quickly as possible. I love the people of our country. I love all of the people of our country.
Yep.
We're going to make America great again, but we're going to make it great for all of the people of the United States of America. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, a number of the white nationalists...
Mr. President, do you want the support of these white nationalist groups who say they support you, Mr. President?
Mr. President,
have you denounced them strongly enough?
A car flying over people, would you call that terrorism?
I don't remember one time when the media asked Barack Obama about Black Lives Matter. If anyone knows one time, do you support Black Lives Matter? Why are you inviting them to the White House? What do we want? Dead cops. When do we want them? Now. Pigs in the blanket. Fry them like bacon. And instead of repudiating or denouncing Black Lives Matter, Barack Obama invited them to the White House. And these people who started this fight are the same people who showed up to President Trump's rallies during the primaries. Here's the governor of Virginia, a Democrat, a liberal.
And I have a message to all the white supremacists and the Nazis who came into Charlottesville today. Our message is plain and simple. Go home. You are not wanted in this great Commonwealth. Shame on you. You pretend that you're patriots, but you are anything but a patriot. You want to talk about patriots, talk about Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, who brought our country together.
Shaking my head. He wants the white supremacists to go home. How about the black ones? How about Black Lives Matter? How about Antifa? Are they welcome? I remember during the primaries that Black Lives Matter took the microphone from Hillary. Remember that? And other Democrats who were running. They have never, this man is a hypocrite. He is a typical liberal Democrat. Denounced on the right, but not on the left. Amazing stuff. This is what we've been dealing with, folks, and the president is exposing it. This governor is a hypocrite. He's a coward. This man is a shameful person. Liberals, Democrats have no shame. He's a coward. He failed, and now he's blaming someone else for his failure. So the whites have to go home if they're violent, but the Black Lives Matter, the Antifa people don't. The ones who came or went there to create violence, they don't have to go home. Hypocrisy like I've never seen before. And this is an example why I'm telling the young white folks who are out there standing up, you must do it in the right way, because the media, the politicians, and others, even including the right-wing Republicans, will use it against you. They will use it against you. And they want you to do this. They want you to come armed. They want you fighting so they can blame you and not Antifa or Black Lives Matter. You've been set up.
You think about the patriots today, the young men and women who are wearing the cloth of our country. Somewhere around the globe, they are putting their life in danger. They're patriots. You are not. You came here today to hurt people. And you did hurt people. But my message is clear. We are stronger than you.
No, you're not.
You have made our Commonwealth stronger. You will not succeed. There is no place for you here. There is no place for you in America. We work here today to bring people together, to unify folks.
Amazing, huh? So the Antifa, Black Lives Matter, and others are attacking Trump supporters around the country. Around the country. Are they welcome to stay? Do they need to go home? Should they leave the country? The real radicals who attacked Trump supporters during the campaign. I believe in Chicago, the president went there to speak, or was going to go there. These Antifa and others was out of control so bad, I think they canceled the rally. And no Democrat spoke out against that. They blamed that on the president. And shame on the right-o Republicans for attacking the president because he said violence on both sides is wrong. We should love one another. They attacked the president saying that he didn't go far enough. They wanted him to denounce, quote-unquote, white supremacy, but not black and Antifa supremacy. They are attacking the weak, pathetic Republicans. I hope you remember to vote them out at the first opportunity you get. You condemn hatred, period. You condemn evil, anger, period. You don't just take one side, as Obama did, George Bush did, Clinton did. You condemn it. Anger, which is hatred, is wrong on both sides. You don't divide the country by just taking one side. It's easier to attack whites than it is to attack. It's easier to condemn white folks than it is to condemn black people who are angry. Isn't that amazing? There was a woman who was killed at this rally.
So first of all, physically, I'm fine. I had a few pepper spray burns, actually from both sides. So you're talking about independent not being left or right. I got attacked by both of them, or at least in the crosshairs of the crossfire of both of them, so to speak. The main thing, the sort of most breaking news out of today was that there was a car crash incident that was seemingly intentional, in which about 19 people were hit by a pileup of 3 different cars, one of which hit the first one intentionally. And so one person, basically I witnessed having CPR administered on her for several minutes, and it appeared that they had given up. And I reported at the time on my live stream that it appeared that she had died. And in fact, the governor confirmed that an hour later.
I have to tell you, folks, this anger have to go. The police let Antifa cross the barrels.
Mostly the police stayed uninvolved for the first couple of hours. Eventually, the barricades that they had originally set up were taken down by the Antifa. So once there was almost no physical barrier between the Antifa and the Lee Park, the police declared it to be an illegal gathering. And by the way, this was before noon. The rally was supposed to start at noon. So before the rally even started, police declared it an illegal gathering. And all kinds of violence had happened before then, and police stayed completely out of it. It was once they declared this rally is canceled that riot cops slowly, by attrition, took out the entire park. And it was at that point that I realized that was probably a mistake tactically. And the reason for that is that they ended up permeating out into the world of the sort of leftist protesters, all of these right-wing type people who now had absolutely no barrier between them and the other guys. And that caused, for miles in every direction, this fight to have expanded and become much more chaotic and confusing, whereas at least there were kind of a clear sense of this is the left-wing guy, this is the right-wing guy, right? People kind of knew what was going on. It turned into chaos once they tried to shut down the rally.
So we need to know, why did the police allow these people to cross over to the other side where the right had a permit to be there? Why did they do that? And I've noticed, even at some rallies I have attended, that for some reason the police is not protecting the folks who are trying to be peaceful from the Antifa and Black Lives Matter, the radical groups. I don't know quite why that is. This is what the governor needs to be trying to investigate and find out. Why did they allow that to happen? There were veterans and militias who were there, too, to try to keep the peace, keep people safe, and separated. This is all about Robert E. Lee, a Confederate leader. His stature is coming down. The government, local government, is going to take it down. And the alt-right are fighting against that. And so I can't help but wonder who came up with this idea that they need to take Robert E. Lee's stature down. Was this a setup in order to cause anger on the right side? Anger is not good, folks. If the right is going to fight back, they must do it without the anger, because they have been set up, they are being used. And you notice the media only talk about the white supremacists and nothing about Black Lives Matter and Antifa. Everything I said will happen is happening, and I've been saying it for 27 years, that if white Americans don't start speaking up, if the parents don't speak up, while they can, they're going to come out fighting in the wrong way, and that will be used against them. And it is happening. It is happening. Now, the children of the parents, the white children of the parents, are angry, and they're fighting back. But because they're fighting back in anger, in the wrong way, it's not going to be a good outcome for them. And they're angry at the way they've been treated, accused of being racist, and all the madness that's been going on for the last 50 years or so. And the parents did nothing about it. White men did nothing about it. And now look what we have. And this will be used against you. And if you notice, in the media, they're not talking about Black Lives Matter and Antifa. It's all about the KKK, white supremacy, and all the wrong things. It's amazing. And you got to drop this anger. White people, you're making a horrible mistake. Young white folks coming out this way, it will be used against you and you will lose. You're going to end up in a ditch, just like Black Lives Matter, just like Antifa, just like the radical homosexuals, just like the radical liberal man-hating women, nationalization women and others who hate men. It's the same. You're going down the same road. Anger directs you in the wrong path, on the wrong path. I don't believe personally that there would have been this horrible fight, just evil stuff happening, had not Antifa and Black Lives Matter and others showed up to fight. They came armed to attack, pepper spray, and the alt-right are fed up with being attacked at their rallies, so now they're arming. It's not good. It's not going to turn out well.
I think this was probably consistent with other ones that I've seen where, generally speaking, the left wing tends to initiate the violence. The difference with this one is that the right-wingers were way more prepared for it in terms of weapons and shields and things like that. So yeah, left-wingers tended to be attacking. For example, the moment that I got pepper sprayed was Richard Spencer was trying to walk up to the park. He had about 8 security guys around him. There were also some Identity Europa people around him. And an Antifa just came up and tried to pepper spray the whole group, right? And so they ended up spraying me, other press, a couple of those Identity Europa guys, and I don't even think they got Spencer. But so there were a lot of things like that. But Spencer is not really a fighter. The group that was really, really, really violent, even if they didn't start it, they sure as hell tried to finish it, was the Traditionalist Workers' Party. And to people who don't know, that's a party with a National Socialist philosophy. So literally just straight up neo-Nazis under a different name. Those guys came with shields and helmets. And when Antifa went to confront them, they had pepper spray that they sprayed from behind their shields, and they were hitting people with flagstaffs. They were clearly prepared to beat the crap out of the people who opposed them, and that's exactly what they did.
Amazing. I've noticed that in all movements, there tend to be the destructive people who shows up and try and turn it into something else. That's one bad thing about having rallies, because you're going to have people coming with hidden agendas. And then they're going to act out and end up affecting your cause.
So I think that what people have to look at today is, how did we get to this point, right? These things aren't isolated incidents. And while the individuals who do the violence are responsible for themselves, right? I don't generally believe in kind of collective identity punishment, so to speak, right? There are lunatics in any group. But I think it's worth thinking about how we got to a point in political discourse where people feel like fighting each other on the streets is going to have some kind of a real world outcome. To the Antifa, are you really going to beat the crap or literally beat the racism out of somebody's head? I kind of doubt it. And on the right, are you really going to defeat leftist government by beating up some random leftist on the street? Also, probably not. And that's not to say that that they're going to be able to achieve what they want through books and debates and things like that. But they're going to do a lot less damage if they pursue peaceful means to their own agendas.
He's right. He's absolutely right. It's so unfortunate that the right, young whites, have allowed themselves to fall into the anger. And I understand it. It's wrong. It's bad for you, but I understand it. Your parents failed you. They didn't stand up. They didn't set the example. Now you're under attack, and you're just coming out angry. But it's not going to turn out very well. It's really, really not.